Home on the range, the deer and the antelope sleigh play. We're going to get started in just a moment. I'm going to do a couple of quick announcements. I'm going to keep the usual announcements, which are long, short. Then we're going to go into the keynote of the evening, and then we'll get into the open mic zone, as we like to say. Buford, can you see if my head is cut off on this thing?
Yeah, a little bit.
Can you?
Okay,
just make that. How about that? Does that look better?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, I shall be back in just 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, as my friends used to say as a child, or 2 tads, a tad, or a tad and a half, and then I'll take care of business, just so you know. See, you got quiet. They're listening to me. Why are they doing that? I'm an egomaniac. All right, so I'm going to do the announcements. Okay. All right. So this is the abridged version of the evening's announcements. I'd like to welcome you to Sacred Grounds. I'm your host, Dan Brady, the longest running open mic in the known and unknown universe, serving up fine food and good poetry since 1972. We'd like to support the reading by enjoying the food and drinks served here. And give a round of applause for Teddy, who's back there making all the food and taking care of this place. And without him, we wouldn't be here. Poetry of all kinds is welcome. We ask that you please respect the mic, and that means keeping conversations to a whisper if you have phones, like I know I do. Put them on mute, airline mode, vibrator, whatever that is, so that it doesn't go beep, 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 beep in the middle of someone's long travailing travail. Also, don't distract the speaker by walking, dancing, or making faces in front of them, her or him. Keep to the time limit, usually 5 minutes, but that can change because we really have 2 shows, the 7-ish, which you're at right now, and the 8:30-ish, which you will soon see if you stay that long. And for this reason, I ask for generosity. Going short on time helps with our tradition of getting everyone on the mic. And that's been a long tradition here, 45, 50 years, something like that. No, 45. So. If you want to be on the loop, well, you can be. I have an opt-in mailing list. You can see me about that. And also a Facebook group. You can see me about that. Over there is a link on the wall, and that's where you can find the streaming. And you can view it from home. Your family and friends can see you. And if you want to hear someone's poem again, that's where you can go to see that. If you want to do a self-critique, well, if you want to. Yeah. And it's a way to put out our word, the word, yours, mine, ours, somebody else's. We have an ongoing theme. I always like to mention that. Never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. And that's a quote by Margaret Mead. Just, you can take that to bank. Can I have the sign-in sheet, please? Because I forgot to bring that up with me. The evening's theme, because we have a theme of the evening and the ongoing theme, is Home on Derangement. That's why I was singing that song earlier, Home on Derangement. The first show, the keynote, will be Mr. Buford Bunton. Right here, give him a nice round of applause. Our feature of the evening, Kanara Sankofa. I knew I was going to goof it up, and I'm sorry. He is here. Give him a round of applause. Kanara, we love you. He's going to come up here and melt the house for us, so that's great. Let's see. Now, the first show we have the keynote, which is Buford. The feature. Oh yeah, we did this. Oh, the second show, the last word will be Mr. Sandero. He's back over there. Mr. Sandero will be the. You are the last word. He knows he's the last word. And our mini feature is Britt Peter. Where's Britt? There he is, right over there. So give him a nice little round of applause. So, all right. Now that I'm completely done up here with those announcements, we're going to start things off. I'm going to arrange things here, and Mr. Buford Bunton will be coming up to do the keynote. He'll be back on the open. The keynote always comes back to the open. All right. So I should put this. Oh, good. Sorry about this. All right, you are on and focused and framed.
Okay. I found this little book lying on Dan's table there, so I'm going to read something out of it. This is called Sympathy. If I were only a little puppy, not your baby, mother dear, would you say no to me if I tried to eat from your dish? Would you drive me off saying to me, get away, you mighty little puppy? Then, go, mother, go. I will never come to you when you call me and never let you feed me anymore. If I were a little green parrot and not your baby, mother dear, would you keep me chained lest I should fly away? Would you shake your finger at me and say, what an ungrateful wretch of a bird. It is gnawing at you at its chain day and night. When you go, mother, go. I will run away into the woods. I will never let you take me in your arms again. Boy, that is Freudian, huh?
I'm afraid he's right.
Okay. Let me do a little more out of this. I kind of like this weird little book. This is called Vocation. When the gong sounds at 10 in the morning and I walk to school by our lane, every day I meet a hawker crying, bangles, crystal bangles. There is nothing to hurry him on. There is no road he must take, no place he must go, no time he must come home. I wish I were a hawker spending my day in the road crying, bangles, crystal bangles. When at 4 in the afternoon I come back from school, I can see through the gate of that house and the gardener diggling the ground. He does what he likes with his spade. He soils his clothes with dust. Nobody takes him to task if he gets baked in the sun or gets wet. I wish I were a gardener digging away at the garden with nobody to stop me from digging. Just as it gets dark in the evening and my mother sends me to bed, I can see through my open window and the watchman walking up and down. The lane is dark and lonely, and the street lamp stands like a giant with one red eye in its head. The watchman swings his lantern and walks with his shadow at his side and never once goes to bed in his life. I wish I were a watchman walking the streets all night, chasing the shadows with my lantern.
Well, I'm handing him the attribution sheet so he can fill out who that was.
All right.
Yeah, and then just bring them both back. So there we go. Thank you again. That's Buford. He'll be back in the open. I think we have Owen as next. Then we have, what's the next? Bob and Buford, and then Karen. So Owen's coming up now. Now if you give him a nice round as he comes up. And he has to write down the name of, that was the, yeah, that was. Here, let's pull this down a bit. There you go. Just, yeah, maybe a little. Okay, let me have to move that, Owen. Get close.
At Bert and Beckett, this is the first one. Eric's cat peers down, takes a cautious leap around, then haunches his forepaws and hind legs and jumps to the ground. Dress greens. You look sharp in your uniform, son, my dad said to me, and I thought it the second most wonderful thing a man with a voice ever said. December. Christmas carols, people march on by the sidewalk, march on by. The sidewalk suspends and soars on the clouds of forgiveness. The cement-like sky forgives and forgets its gloomy, slow roll of heaven. Said, the morning gone to a cement-like sky, all metaphors have vanished to the rainy sky of a winter afternoon. Gone. The day curls up into a ball and does what it is meant to do, not what it was not meant to be. After the rain, the muse of the rain makes me sigh like a mystery of the rainwater. Life is a mystery of rain and flowers, the mystery of metaphor of ah me, ah me. Sleep came like a cameo. The rain has vanished with sleep in a metaphor. Sleep came softly and bleats like a sheep. The night goes slowly like a new neon lord. Calm the afternoon branches of fate and gloom. I write in a room that murmurs like a womb. My mind is like a tomb. No lines came, no metaphors came in slippered rain. To Don Brennan.
Oh, yeah.
Your metaphors are a lonely outpost that I pray to in silence. Like the aloneness of love, I am the alone quality of your poetry, as your metaphors are those of the earth. I hold my pen in the observation of the nothing and something of everyday elegance. At Starbucks, days pass by one. Time and space, more time and space. The wind whistles like a locomotive passing us by, like the movie The Greatest Show on Earth. Stop, don't you see the lights? I feel like an elephant trainer waving his arms for his would-be loved one, the girl on the flying trapeze. This poem is the greatest show on earth. Soon on Broadway it will be shoot time. I am an impetuous madman, shouting an eternal opera. Night poem. The dead of night beats its wings on the lonely Trieste. Night follows day. By day it is the lonely crowd. By night is the lordly lonelings of nightly delight. The starry day will soon become a black night as a metaphor calls my name in the distance. Soon the moon will arise to signify the end of June. Pensée. On a quiet day in North Beach, the day is as languid as a Jane Austen novel. The Café Trieste is a funny novel of manners.
Thank you, Mr. Owen.
Thank you very much.
Now, Bob, you wanted to say something first?
No, I'm done with this.
Oh, are you gonna read?
Yeah, but here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do it.
All right, there we go. And now Bob Gordon reading from where he is. Give him a nice round to welcome him. And then you have Beaker coming back, Karen, Rev, looks like G, W, B-W-O. I'll get around to that, I'll figure it out. Whoa.
All right, recently I came across a volume of the Breadbook Anthology of Modern American Poets, and I liked their style so much I decided to try a modern American poem of my own. So I wrote two of them. The first one is from Weekly Numbers. Milk Yellow and Winter Round Leaves, it's called. Under and up against talcum blue, sky near to up against 50s lamppost, Lane verge sign yellow, yoke yellow, paint black. Verge stripes here, have we walked gray. Sidewalk squares beside black or gray. Asphalt 9 in the street, 1.5. Black view, perhaps 30 cars alongside. Paint marked curbs, 3 to 4 story of bricks, mold, green, gray, white. This city, 175 years old only, is now today in clear air. A history of countries. Look back, 9 walk the street. And another short American poem I called 3 lights passed by 2 blocks up. Addresses 200 to 398. In true real count, 9 lights, 3 green, 3 yellow, 3 red, memorizing 10 night stars past rooms, rooms shared, blinded from street, day, night. And then this is a long one I wrote quite a while ago. I don't remember what I wrote. It's somewhat political. Those who dream the light is a knife sharpener against water. It is perhaps not so useless as the sharp shaft that penetrates the clouds, coming from beyond the universe to the rootless treetops, hovering, a balancing child in the wishes of today. All that I rejected from the come what may, drums like the drum beat, the palpitations of dismay. I'm at least poetic and yet withdrawn from all the useless dreams, contrived of all the stabbing voices, well ignored to hear the voice of God's. I do not know what sort of love this is. That young man might have been a carpenter and loved the nails like ore, the wood like pine in woods. But something was not meant for him, his heart misunderstood. Another like him finds himself architect, the sun upon his built-up dreams in country stood erect. I fathomed that a spirit in the vast seas might have pleased the creeds of yet another. This is what I ponder as I wander through the hours, the light through the water, through the woods, through houses, unshipped, unhammered, unbuilt, and the guilt, the pain of unused men and women, more and more, who come to choose another drift, too easy to explore and sharpen only water with their hardy skills. It is the strain of profit that best this spoke of will, the shattered light of dull delight, the filthy night that kills.
Thank you. Buford's coming back up. The keynote always reads something by other poets, and then they come up to read their own. So give them another round of applause, please. Comes up here.
Feeling okay. Despite having a hard job with disabled teenagers, I am pretty invigorated by them most of the time. Actually, the kids themselves invigorate themselves, giving me the opportunity to keep my brain young and fresh by helping them solve or at least diminish their sometimes rather large problems. Life is a problem sometimes, getting older and figuring out particularly how to solve its puzzling set of premises. Am I too old for working with these autistic and emotionally challenged kids? Does it matter? Because I'm a little poor to completely stop working. Life is complicated, but I enjoy most of it, including my 30-hour a week job working with these little rascals.
Thank you, Buford. Karen. And then Rev. Where's Rev? Oh, okay. Just want to make sure I know And then G-W-O,
Gino.
Gino. Oh, that's enough.
Gino.
Oh, no, G, it looks like a G and then a W-O. I don't know. We'll find out who that is. All right, Karen, give her a nice round, please. She's up here.
Hi,
And
thank
maybe
you.
move this a little bit this way.
I worked hard today trying to put together, hand put together a bunch of little books. So I'm going to do a little bit from each one, but you tell me when it gets too much.
All right.
This is from Sky, and it's called Gratitude. The sky does not ask why it exists, nor does it wonder if birds fly through or above its blueness, and whether songs are cloud vapor and golden red tones at evening, threads for pillows of tired angels. The sky does not question blue, nor worry about lost clouds floating like ragged children looking for a place to stay or a place to play in the vast sky. The moon has never thanked the stars for sparkling, nor the sun for lighting its pale face, nor witches for flying across on a Halloween night, when its veil is tinged with silver and its halo augurs rain. When I was young, I did not think of age, nor did rejoice in my own youth. I simply was, and I was young. Now I am old and do not think of age, but do rejoice in my own breath. I simply am, and I am old. Though I am old, I do not think of age or youth, but do rejoice in each small day, and all I am is young. The sky is always young, right? Okay. Thank you. Synergy. The city of St. Francis turned out for love on Friday. This was in August 2017. Turned out to drown out hatred with songs and speeches of inclusion. I had tea and talked about lichens, who can only exist symbiotically. Algae for moisture, fungi for function. Create lichens that decorate the forest, give it velvet softness, and help forest creatures absorb nourishment. People also can only exist in mutuality, only in symbiosis. Imagine a world with one person, or a meadow with one coyote. A fungus alone and a bit of algae alone do not equal a lichen. They are not the sum of their parts, as we are not unless we coexist. Unless they, the fungus and the algae, are codependent, embracing each other to thrive, to survive, and with them the forest, as we too survive in the world in mutuality. Okay, that was from Refugees. This is this is from Our Fragile Earth. Okay. Sidewalk stories. Sidewalk cracks tell stories. Earthquakes, tree roots pushing against concrete, children chanting rhymes, sidewalks sliding, arguing with the earth below, claiming ownership. Tree roots, rocks, buried memories insistently push against hardened cement, sending grass and flowers up through cracks, demanding access, demanding their rightful inheritance of Earth's surface, free of concrete, free of building blocks, inheritance of soil and water, land and air, millions of years of ownership, breathing through sidewalk cracks, telling stories.
All right. Red. Now you're new here, right?
I've been here.
Okay, but I thought he was, give him a nice hand as he comes up here. Red.
So I guess I wanted to show growth, if that's possible. So this first poem was written 95 or 96. It's called Broken Lap Dance. You have given my heart many a helter-skelter twist, thanking God as a start for the fact you no longer exist. Retrieval of my pride, it's no longer yours to rape. Giddiness all inside, from depression I've escaped. It has been a long time since I've had to see your face. Lust towards you, now a crime, but it won't be hard to replace. I won't have to look very far, even though I acted like a sap. The echo of my soul ajar will make her fall from the stars into my lap. I really don't care where you're going. I give two shits, as you can see. Shake with trees while wind is blowing. Rot in your own hell. I am free. Thank you. And believe it or not, I was the one that cheated on her, so there we go. Now this is about growth. So this one is about my wife, who I've been with for over 7.5 years. And, you know, decades later I write this. The oceanic coursing of her eyes within my veins provides the perfect shelter whenever it rains, and I have forgotten my umbrella. What else can I tell you? She is perfect light shining down into the darkest places. Can you imagine the faces of anyone who has ever underestimated her? Those with knowledge must concur that she is beauty everlasting. The frantic high-speed chase of a hummingbird's wing keeps up with my heartbeat when it receives the treat of being able to meet her glorious feet with unworthy hands, finding their way into the holy lands of her body's sacred map. Can you hear the angels and demons singing at the top of their lungs? Do you dare deny the bliss of glorious winds as they find their way to her rosebud lips? When I woke up this morning, I saw her body gently breathing in the morning hours. The rhythm of the spheres were shaking off the tears falling down as April showers whispered their blessing to our city, letting it know that everything was gonna be okay. Even the smoke went away. I will find a way to let her know today the full extent of my love. Thank you.
Thank you, Gino. Thank you. And thanks for bringing that timer. I love that. A minor announcement, a point of order, housekeeping duties, and all that. We have now come to the point where we have a full set of readers. So I'm going to have, if I have someone to take this chair and maybe put it here or something, so that we have an on deck thing. So whoever is next will sit in that chair so they're ready to go. And how do you say your name?
Gino.
Oh, okay. So this is Gino. He is new. Give him a round of applause. And then Stephanie Manning, but you're already over there. So.
Actually, I had to introduce before when they used to have the music.
Oh, the Thursday night music thing. Yeah.
This is a. I wrote this a few years ago, and it's called My Christmas Song. There's a wind a-blowing, there's a chill in the air. Days getting shorter, all the trees are standing bare. All that turkey has been gobbled up, and that pumpkin pies too. Soon it'll be Christmas, and I got the blues. I never used to feel like this before when Christmas came around. I always had that Christmas cheer, I was never sad or down. But it's hard to keep my spirits up when I see so much that's wrong. I got the blues this Christmas, and this is my Christmas song. Now when I was little, Christmas was a delight. We'd drive around town, checking out all them Christmas lights. And them sleigh bells, they would jingle, and those Christmas songs. Those carolers would be singing right out on my front lawn. And up there in the North Pole, well, I know Santa's got my list. And underneath that mistletoe, I always scored a kiss. But as years went by, those lights were less and less. No one drives around town, you know how much it costs for gas. And them sleigh bells, they don't jingle like they did before. And And there's no carolers singing out my front door anymore. And Santa's moved to China, and the North Pole's melting away. And you better watch out whose lips you kiss. You can't be too careful these days. I never felt like this before when Christmas came around. I always had that Christmas cheer, I was never sad or down. But it's hard to keep my spirits up when I see so much that's wrong. I got the blues this Christmas. This is my Christmas song. Now I wonder what kind of words Jesus, what he would have to say about how we celebrate his birthday. There's all those presents underneath Johnny's Christmas tree, while just across the tracks it's shoes and medicine little Billy needs. And all them politicians so eager for a bride, standing there and smiling in their suits and ties. I never used to feel like this before when Christmas came around. I always had that Christmas cheer, I was never sad or down. But it's hard to keep my spirits up when I see so much that's wrong. I got the blues this Christmas. This is my Christmas song. Now if I'd been there in Bethlehem on that cold December night, and see that baby Jesus neath that star shining bright, and gaze at all the faces standing there so full of wonderment and bliss. Right then and there, I'd make this Christmas wish. Well, I wish all you Catholics and Baptists and Methodists and you Muslims too, I just wish you would do the things your God would want you to do, and be a shelter unto each other and help each other out. Then it'll be peace on earth and goodwill to all. That's without a doubt. And that'll take care of all those things out there so wrong. And we can go back to singing all those merry Christmas songs.
Wow. Gino! All right, Stephanie is coming up, and then Tommy, if you can take the on-deck chair, please, I'd appreciate it. And give Stephanie a nice round of applause. She has hosted this place when I was ill, sick,
So I just wanted to recognize the 40th anniversary of the murder of George Moscone and Harvey Milk. My photographer husband of the time, 1978, met George Moscone on a job he had at a union conference only a few days before. And it was so sad, and I will always think of it as a hate crime with the death of the beloved Harvey Milk. Let's give a hand for George Moscone. There's a poem I wrote for the beginning, for Thanksgiving. It's called Thanksgiving is Coming. Well, I'll get a load of this now. Dear Mr. Sperm Whale, well, you finally did it. Your appetite for eating plastic, drinking cups, plastic bottles, flip-flops, nylon sacks, and other plastic stuff finally got the best of you there in the deep ocean off Indonesia, all 31 feet of you. Whatever happened to fish, otters, rays, and sea lions? Did you lose your connection to nature? Did you forget the difference between human toxic waste and food chain food? Were you in a shame spiral, depressed and isolated as you swallowed that stuff? Was that moment of doubt Were there other whales eating that stuff? If so, we are really in trouble. God protect us from the bondage of our own appetite, for foods that will kill us, for overconsumption, and for forgetting to leave the world better than we found it. Mr. Whale, may your death from plastic not have been in vain. The 5,000 migrants need a leader of Norwegian descent, a blondie, fluent in Mayan, Spanish, and English, who could negotiate for them with Trump. He likes Norwegians. What would Trump charge for entry into the U.S.? Slave labor? He is such a bad guy. Why aren't the state troopers, the CHP, the county sheriffs, and the cops down there defending peace at the border from the feds and welcoming our brothers and sisters like Emma Lazarus and the Statue of Liberty? These are mostly people with indigenous blood. Guatemala's population is 82% indigenous, and so is Honduras. How much we could learn from each other. If only all this housing the developers long to build should be free housing for our homeless and for migrant housing. What rich guy will let $1 billion fall off his table? We are waiting for sanity to return. Only then will change begin.
Stephanie Manning. Now, Tommy and Yasmin, you're the next one up.
They fired tear gas at children and infants still in diapers. Eyes, skin, and lungs suddenly on fire. Their parents seeking asylum at a border guarded by troops sent by a president and a head of Homeland Security who see nothing wrong with putting children in cages or gassing them. Children seeking safety from a nightmare this country created. Children whose first experience of America was not Lady Liberty's torch lighting the way. It was the fog of chemical warfare. A mother impaled on pieces of barbed wire. A wall of soldiers with guns. An administration that could care less whether they live or die. He fell asleep at the bus shelter, slumped over, lit cigarette still dangling between calloused, nicotine-stained fingers, his body folding into itself like a contortionist, unkempt, longish gray hair speckled with blonde falling onto a face pale and blemished, reddened by the sun. A face a mother once kissed, dabbed with spit to rub off a smudge of dirt with her thumb. I watched from the bus window as he slid further forward, his hand almost touching the ground, the tip of his lit cigarette pressed against his worn gray sneaker. I realized as the bus started to take off that he didn't seem to be breathing. True story. And I'm going to end, Saturday is International AIDS Day. And as a gay man who somehow managed to survive the epidemic when almost all my friends died in the 80s, one of the reasons I came to San Francisco was to get away from a graveyard that I was living in by 1990. So I want to say something to that experience of being in this position. And I have to say, every year at this time, I remember, I think all of them. I just do, every year. There were so many, and they were so fucking wonderful. Too many people gone. Don't look back. Too many vanished faces, scratched out addresses, unfinished conversations. Too many here today, gone tomorrow. Too many regrets. I didn't even know he was sick. Too many obits taped to the kitchen wall. Too many tears in the middle of the night when sleep never showed up. Too many people who wanted us all dead. Lot's wife was lucky. I look back and I turn to rage. Thank you.
Tony Adekola Mecca. And now Yasmin is coming up. Let's give her a nice round. And then it's me, then Wendy, and then our people, just so people know what's going on.
There's a book on the table I really want, so I can't stay till the end. So if somebody gets a number, please get that book for me. It's Rabindranath Tagore. I'll give you $5 for it. Okay. Get it for me. This chapter is going to be published in the Penn Oakland very soon, I guess, whatever. So the novel continues, and it's about class structure. I'm sure a lot of you know by now, but some of you don't. So class structure, caste structure, a black man in America and an Indian woman. It's not autobiographical. He opened a can of beans and poured them into the saucepan. When they were hot, he poured molasses over them, stirring it with a wooden spoon. He showed Omri the price marked on the bottle of syrup and the empty can of beans. 33 cents, he said, for a meal. And as my grandmother used to say, if it don't kill you, it'll put some meat on your bones. He waited until the mixture turned brown and put it in a plate before Omri. This is how we have survived, on molasses and beans, 33 cents, Miss Farhan. Omri told him about the untouchable class at home. The women took the food to their husbands at the work in the fields. They were allowed to plow land only in certain areas. The women carried chapatis with a green chili wrapped in the corner of their saris. They both shared the meal, 2 to 3 chapatis, sometimes an entire day's meal. She heard a phone ring. He ignored the ring. She spotted the telephone wire but could not see the telephone. She rose from her seat and followed the wire to its source. She pulled open the drawer while the telephone kept ringing inside the drawer. He watched her and shouted for her not to answer it. Wouldn't it be easier, she asked, if you took the receiver off the hook? It would be easiest not to have the phone at all, he said. They ate and Omri shut her eyes. She thought about all she had seen. Black faces, women with heels and blonde wigs, big bosoms, and bare bottles. She felt the heat and sweat of her own body. She thought of home and railroad stations, people returning from work in overcrowded compartments, clutching at the railings overhead, hanging out of windows, climbing on the rooftops of the trains with their feet apart for balance. Black faces, strange language. This man before her, hawkers holding up plastic combs, pushing their way towards exit signs as the train conductors entered the trains. Bars across windows, glass splinters and asphalt, pickpockets in the third-class compartments, cushioned seats in the first class. What am I doing here, she asked. He smiled and turned on the radio. It was a time clock radio. One of the hands was missing. It played music. Dionne Warwick, she said. Each morning I wake up. I can't sing, but before I put on my makeup, I say a little prayer for you. He put his hands out to her. She stood up and swayed with him, still at a distance. His hips stuck out a little as he danced. Her eyes moved to his feet. She recognized the steps. She knew the dance. She folded into his arms. They did not look at each other till the music stopped. I know, she said, interrupting his unformed words. You're about to tell me I'm beautiful. I will show you what I consider beautiful after class next week, he said. He borrowed, last page, sorry. borrowed $2 from her and called a cab. He took her downstairs and opened the door, handing the driver $2. Get her out of this jungle, he told the black man at the steering wheel. Thank you.
Thank you. Yasmin, ladies and gentlemen, reading from the novel. And now I am going to take the mic, and then Wendy, my wife, is going to be next, so she's going to go over there. And then we'll take care of Mr. Canaro over there.
As the evening's feature, he is going to be honored. I get to do one of my favorite things. When he's out there just sitting there innocently, I get to praise him unmercifully. But anyway, here we go. Let me get organized. Am I okay with that?
You are now.
I am now. Woo. So the evening's theme was Home on Deranged. So I went through this and I found a few that are. This one actually has to do with, well, it's deranged. I'll go with that. This is called The Lover of All Lovers. Oh, she knows what you want. Or anybody else wants for that matter, and then provides it. And how? You want savory? She'll crush pungent herbs and spices between billion-year-old rocks, use Jurassic salts along with olives, mustard, and a dash of raw cane juice, the way ancient mamas used to do. She'll cut, slice, sear, sizzle, scald, roast, bake, turn, burn, then, Jesus, she'll serve it up steaming hot. Just the smell will have your belly groaning in expectation. As she slides that full platter on down, she'll wink at you, looking dreamy love into your longing eyes as you smell it up. And as you fall to, you begin to pray fervently to God Almighty, tears in your eyes because you just can't believe how good it is. And when you stop just long enough to take a breath, you also sloppily garble a call, motioning for even more. Yes, this lovely world of ours is the chief cook and bottle washer, the concierge, major domo, procurer, sales pitcher to beat the band in mind. She can put anything on the menu, and she does. Even you, yeah. When your time comes, or you've gotten too slow, fat, or ripe for the plucking, she'll yank you out of your tank, scald off hair, run a slit from throat to crotch, strip you off skin naked and shuck out your guts, take a step back and smile, The entrails slop into the gut bucket, then all businesslike she'll get you quartered, severed into sections, chop off the choice pieces and sliver them into fillets, before dipping them into and out of the cauldron of thick, burbling fat, spices, oil, and blood to get it good and coated. Oh, she'll hold it up admiringly, then spit it and roast it over an open fire of seasoned wood, yeah. Brushing on her secret sauce, sprinkling the condiments, all while some big, really big and roaringly ravenous, a friggin' monster of a man who sits not that far away, whose nostrils flare at the savory scent as he gobbles from a trencher, whose grumbling gut can be seen making its move, turning in expectations. Oh yeah, he is rude, rough-hewn, slow-eyed, and slovenly, loud and proud. And she has an eye for him, has her own thoughts. Oh, baby. She admires his appetite as he drunkenly pounds the table, gesticulating for even more of you. So, and continuing on in the deranged framing. These are excerpts from a longer piece called Manners to Mind. I was asked to write about manners that you should mind. Little did they know. Mainly, if you're going to eat anyone's child, disguise it in a rich stew and never serve the leftovers to any of the relations, no matter how distant. It's just not done. When in an exchange of name-calling, always criticize and correct the other's grammar. It refines the mind, sharpens the wit, heightens many effects, and can serve to explosively enrage the target of your ire. Next, remember that no matter how much fun rage is, there is always the chance you'll lose control and so say, or worse yet do, something that leaves inescapable, incriminating evidence which speaks for itself. Bodies, for example. If you must have gas, surreptitiously move at flank speed to a distant corner of the room, vent, and quickly but unobtrusively maneuver to safely letting someone else make the call. Never grope under the table at dinner time. The proper time is with dessert. Projectile vomiting is rarely acceptable, but when you do, make sure someone you detest or who is detestable gets soaked but good. When stealing the family silver, implicate any morally suspect cuckold. Mayhem before murder, just as sex before identification theft. Letting go is good, especially if it's the only grip someone else has on a misspent life. Never pass up a good opportunity to misdirect, mislead, or manhandle. Beauty may be only skin deep, but revenge is forever. Chance favors the highly trained, well-armed, and vicious over the innocent and unwary. All is fair in love and war and marriage, divorce, friendship, the workplace, or when implicating the sanctimonious, witless, or incompetent. The points garnered depend upon how well you serve your own greedy advantage. And then this last one here is short. Followers. You don't know the person following you online, on foot, on time, and from the shadows where that person observes, take notes, times, arrivals, and departures, and records who you meet, talk with, smile with, or act. Your garbage is not private, nor is your answering machine's message, and forget about privacy when it comes to what you buy, sell, to, and to whom, and for what reason. Followers are habitual about what they do, painstakingly careful, quiet, patient, reserved. They persevere, predicting performance, harboring their vested secret interest, and know exactly what they'll do at the right time and place. They know you don't know, and that's just the way they like it.
Thank you. So that's derangement. And now my wife Wendy is going to be coming up. Give her a nice round of applause. And let me set this right here for you. Is that good? You just set it up. And then let me just move it a little closer to there. Is that good? Just make sure you're happy with it.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay, good to be here. Gonna wait a little bit. So, thank you. This is a quote I love from Martha Graham, who was an iconic pioneer in modern dance. And this is the quote. It's for all of us and all artists. There is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all of time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium, and it will be lost. The world will not have it. It is not your business to determine how good it is, nor how valuable, nor how it compares with other expressions. It is your business to keep it yours, clearly and directly, to keep the channel open. And this poem, let me see if there's something I need to explain. This poem is called Where Home Begins. Heavy my heart to see what I see, to hear what I hear, to know what I know. Under the skyscrapers, mansions, and wealth lie miles of hunger and years of woe. Where does it start? Where does it end? Will it ever be over, this river of tears, this hellhole of fear? Swallowed up by a system that's lost the key to building compassion and the dignity to be. Happy in pursuing dreams of light, instead there is hardship and struggle and plight. Cities of tents for houses instead. People living on the edge,
barely able to survive, hoping for a bite to eat, some warmth at night to sleep, hoping every day to get a break which brings some peace. Heavy my heart is in seeing what I see, in hearing what I hear, in knowing what I know. To think homelessness is a stranger who will somehow make do by someone else's caring when the who is really me and you. See the signs, hear the pleas, know the truth. We are all connected through and through. Let none of us be out of touch with compassion that is real. Let each find that place within, the center of their being, the place where spirit dwells, where home begins and travels out to all the world. We shall recognize each other, remove the veils that blind. We shall care beyond mere words, make the world a better place for all, as we live from who we truly are, and remember always, not forget, that anyone can be displaced, lose home and more, meet trouble and travail. So let us not be out of touch with compassion that is real. Let each find that place within, the center of their being, the place where spirit dwells, where home begins and travels out to all the world. I wrote this one day when I was out in the garden. Wonder of life. Little seed planted in the ground, down in the dark, quietude, waiting, patient and aware, knowing who you are, what you'll be someday. Breaking from your shell, baby plant inside, roots shooting down, stem and leaves reaching to the light, soaking up sustenance, bright, warm sun, drinking in moisture, nourishing rain, transformed from just a tiny seed to determined, bold seedling, life's wonder revealed. Little seed planted in the ground, down in the dark, quietude, waiting. Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna mark me up on here. All right, am I okay with this?
And our teacher is falling as well, so we're going to take care of all these things. Well, what a nice first half. And now we come to the feature moment of the evening. I love this part, this quiet part. Everybody is expectant and wondering and puzzled. It's a mystery, and we're going to go into that mystery. Kanara Sankofa, a beautiful, beautiful poet. Now when I say beautiful poet, you think of the words beautiful, and then you think of the word poet, and then you look at the different combinations and how that works in the mind and the soul of us. We here who are poets, we know what this is about. I heard him on this place speak before us. He held forth, he recited, he came up, it was magic. There's more than magic though. One may think, oh, he has a light, bright smile, and he's cheerful, and he is energetic, and you think, what a nice, what? And then you listen to the words. He takes you in with the appearance and the showmanship, but he brings you into the word, into the depths of individual phrases, into the soul and the heart of what it means to be a poet. I have heard him speak, and I have been deeply impressed and moved by that. You will also have that experience, I'm sure. So, give this man a wonderful round of applause as he comes up here and holds forth. We gotta make sure this is filmed, right? You're good.
All right, thank you. Wow, I'm honored.
Well,
And I thank you all for coming out. And I want to say, I had some friends that came from Egypt. No, close. Bridgewood City, off in that area. I haven't seen this brother here. This brother right here. I love you, man. You have a good heart. You're good people. Never forget that. Never forget that. Okay. This is my friend Mike. And these are some of my folks here. So thank you all. My book is available. It's called Humanity.
And you have copies with you.
I do have a few copies.
There we go.
And also my CD. A place without the Kemetic man, a world without fathers affects the outcome of our children's growth. You see, we're needed not in prisons, but instead in our homes, in our schools, in our communities. It is up to us. We must positively show them and teach the children not to be foolish. Equip them. See, our women can't do it all. Slavery, drugs, pistols in the hood, what you're trying to call. Another one bites the dust. Laid out. Stretched out in a line of white chalk. See, that was the plot from the beginning. They never taught that we invented mathematics, science, and furthermore, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, the Greeks, were not the first psychologists. It's a farce created by a group of linologists. But we're gifted, yet we were stolen and sold from Sudan to Egypt, worked from sun up to sundown, from can't see in the morning to can't see at night, broken backs just to see the tribe fall. Prisons equals plantations. Informed ones know now slavery has shifted, now ain't that right? No longer, brothers, can we afford to be MPNIA. In simple terms, it means missing plus not in action. Look how our young children are acting. Instead of reading the book, they're hooked on flavor of love, bullshit shows, Game Boy, PlayStation videos. Education is lacking. Too many of our sons are packing and calling themselves pimps, dogs, niggas, and bitches. 12 and 13-year-old boys are screaming about how they're macking backwards. You know, niggas spell sagging. It's like the mental pilot is on automatic destruction is what some say. But we cannot start tomorrow or later. Greater. We must be right now, right here today. See, a world without fathers, black fathers particularly, is a travesty. Have we become so desensitized, closed mouths and eyes, that we cannot recognize or we refuse to realize the catastrophe of our condition globally? Look around sometimes. We need another 1,000 Malcolms to speak, another Mumia, Assata, Eddie Mabo, or Khalid Muhammad speech. As a matter of fact, multiply that x to the fifth, no lift that power to the 10th, and then divide it into 360 degrees. Our children need academics. And our male face they deserve to see in all sectors. It's got to be teach them about Tulsa, Oklahoma. Not too long ago, it was called Black Wall Street. Reach out and understand. Misrepresented, yes, man, shit, we gotta change this shit ourselves. Where are you, black man? Stand up, African seeds and strands, descendants of the Kemetic land, and stop the violence. Mental genocide on the street. Another night, another fatherless child cries himself to sleep. See, it's time to peak game. Because, see, our ancestors must be turned over in their graves. After all that they went through, see, fathers are the first man in a daughter's life. And part of your role, Baba, meaning fathers, is a father's life. Baba. Thank you. See, I have no idea what I was going to do.
Poetry.
I've been working my been working my ass off, so I haven't rehearsed anything, but there's a few things that I want to read from the book.
Oh yeah, that one's good.
Okay, y'all ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Woo-hoo! You hated me, and you still hate me, and I'm still black. You sold me into slavery, and I'm still black. You killed me innocently, but yet non-innocently, and I'm still black. Racist ass cops, they keep shooting me in the back. You even raped my ancestors. You told me then, and you still tell me today, hey, just forget about the past and start now. But guess what? I'm still black. You say black is bad, and I'm still black. You say white is without evil intent, but guess what, homie? I am still black. You created AIDS, and I'm still black. And if you don't like this piece of poetry, guess what? I'm okay with that. You say go back to Africa, don't you realize that they're black food, and when you die, you're going to be black too? I am still always going to be black, just like you. Thank you. The sound of your heart beating rhythmically in sync with my thoughts. You see, I felt your pulse as we lay silently wrapped in darkness, and how could this be? A queen lying beside me and created from my rib as I have been created from dust, and a touch of your lips to my lips as we kiss the night away. See, now embraced, our bodies laced with the strength of two pyramids, and our souls locked and bound together like closed eyelids. See, each day, a different level I try to reach, and it was you, my love, who made me want to go deep with them. See, I loved a woman like God has made tunnel maze, just blown away. In the middle of the road, a stare, I'm gonna watch you glow, and lady, yes, I wanna watch you grow. Come and brighten up my life. See, God only knows you beautiful, cold, complex cameo. You know, sometimes we hang out together incognito. Listen, I haven't the time for sending subliminal messages. Yo, God, can you bless this and let these words with sounds like croons fill the space in your head as though I was singing notes or blowing tunes like Miles Davis. And fellas, that's the moment you want to grab and hold your lady. What you think about that, Slim? See, my game is too tight to be shady. Perhaps later on tonight we can practice making some babies to some mates and gray, making love to the moon and the stars go to sleep, and we shall not stop until you hear the birds chirping to the rise and with the sun of the next day. See, slowly, I shall feel your heart. Come and hold me and stroke my face with the tips of your fingers like Tony Tone said, damn girl, it feels good. And I'm gonna keep it real like a brother from the hood, and my name Nia, purpose was what it means. Now do your thism to the rhythm of 86 to 120 BPMs. That's beats per minute. See, the essence of your love, I'm deeply in it, and now I want a little bit of your sexual healing. See, I wrote this piece with you in mind to some Darnell Jones. Late at night, me, my headphones, carpet plus 5 candlelights. Thinking about you, Victoria, and them secrets is like bringing back memories to a blind man before he lost his sight. See, I just want to feel your heart. You see, the sound of your heart beating, pounding, lightly, softly, slowly emerge in love like a submarine submerged like fingers inside of a glove. To feel one's heartbeat is to hear life. Have you ever listened to a heartbeat? See, it's impossible for a man to be complete without his rib. Remember, God took out one to make a woman. Without her, it's hard for any man to truly say that he has lived. Therefore, my heartbeat is coming to you in full force. Like the Wild Wild West came with guns blazing. See, the depth of your love is amazing. I simply want to feel it one more time. Your heart beats. Your heart beats. Thank you. Wow. Let me try this one here. Has the world gone completely mad? Has the greatest creation of all species lost its way? Today I say humanity, it is up to us, the human race, to look deep from within the souls of your very being and stand up. I say stand up and shout with every breath that you can muster. I refuse to sit back and just occupy space, breathe, eat shit, defecate, and die. Oh yes, why my soul cries out for freedom of these beasts. It's up to every color and every creed to do what's right. I picked up paper and pen to write the facts because, see, I'm tired of these so-called fat cats and capitalism with their propaganda lying lynching machines, and racism is smothering Mother Earth. It hurts my soul to walk down the street and see people with no shoes on their feet. Concrete is where they sleep, with no food to eat. And every day, thousands upon thousands of people pretend they don't see the ridiculousness of the homelessness and the hopelessness. And if I dare turn on my television, which tells lies to your vision. I'd be even more numbed out to the dumbness of the so-called reality shows that only show more and more crap. Here's an example of the direct-to-consumer advertisement. The true minority is playing with people's happiness with infomercials telling me that I'm out of control with a mental disease, this or mental disorder that, simply wanting to control every aspect of your very being through the DSM-5, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual on Mental Health, collaborating with the FTC, the FCC, the FDA, the pharmaceutical industry. You see, psychiatry is an industry of death, and the APA, the American Psychiatric Association, is strictly pushing pills, and the government on Capitol Hill is only concerned with, guess what? Making more and more capital, while our babies are being murdered with these psychotropic drugs, causing suicide and people to kill each other. Am I my brother's keeper? Brace yourself, because this poem is about to get deeper than Moses standing against the tide of the Red Sea. You know, Martin Luther King Jr. had more than just a dream. He had a fighting soul that exposed truth to lies and discrimination, like J. Edgar Hoover had spies. The chapter to the room of El Haj Malik El Shabazz. You know him as Malcolm X. So ask yourself this question. Am I part of the solution or am I part of the problem? Thinking that I can't make a difference. Listen, it takes a village to raise a child. Society and those who control it have gone completely buck-ass wild. Now stop it, because this is not some feeble-minded so-called hip-hop or rap, even though it's lyrical. You see, my calling is equal stood in this spoken word game. I see you. I saw it in a documentary called Psychiatry is an Industry of Death, and that Benjamin Rush was dubbed the master bleeder in the field of mental health. And he's enshrined on the seal of the APA. Damn. That says a whole lot about how these killers of today get away with pushing side effect drugs across the counter into your living room TV screen, because if you laugh too much, it's a mental disease. If you have too much pain in your heart from losing a loved one, it's a disorder. If you pee too much, guess what? We got a pill for that too. And the God within you forgot how to tap into your psyche. Just in case you didn't know, the word psyche originated in Kemet, Africa, and it means soul. I behold truth and expose I to a higher state of consciousness. Does any of this make any sense to you? As I get even more poetical, you see, my sciences, political words come into my brain like a child should never have to know words like special ed class. See, that's unethical. And see, humanity lets me know that I'm right on track, and it's way past the possibility that my vocabulary and its impeccability is making sure that the delivery is unmistakably my liability. Can you feel me? Because it's like this. Who taught the black man and woman to hate self? Malcolm X said it's the hate that hate produced. Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream, but we've only been experiencing American nightmares, so I dare you to stand up and fight this beast. See, when I finish something like this, I say, I wish you nothing but joy, prosperity, love, and deuces. Peace. Thank you. All right, thank you. It was the coldest summer one could ever imagine. Sad nights filled by dim lights in a room occupied by sweet perfumes, only in my mind of your natural scent. Just 29 hours ago, I was on bent knees holding your hand in bed as you laid. See, out loud I prayed, trying to save that last tango dance. And did I not woo you with the simple ways of romance? For instance, lighting candles filled with the smell of jasmine incense in the tub. Promises I made to you forever we were loved, and with kisses and hugs and back rubs. But I never thought I would come across the coldest summer ever. Yes, I wanted to shield you and I from whatever storm, but somehow our souls got ripped and torn. But you know, true love is impossible to be stopped. See, I was laced with some knowledge by the rock, not the chosen one, but born to write truth and recite like Barry Bonds recently broke Barry Bonds recently Barry. It was the coldest summer ever. Thank you. Y'all okay? I'm gonna try this one. It's been a while since I performed this. I'm gonna see if I can get it. It's been a long time coming. Days in and days out, I keep on wondering, when are we gonna come together? You see, it's cold how comedians were taught to hate each other in our tribe. Truthfully, it was well over 2 years since I last talked to one of my brothers of blood, bones, and sweat. Yet I speak to thee to let some of these words of mine flex your mind. You see, my time from birth on this earth has shown me some things. Allow me to give you a bit. While we are still getting tossed and turned and bit on ghetto lines, you see, my poems, they got to be strong. Not unlike the dent on the mental set in place long ago by Willie Lynch is a letter was a lie. Now it's time to rise. Like the first resurrected Christ. Proper name is Asar. They say Osiris, his sister and wife, gave birth to a son named Heru. Heru's mother's name is Aset. The Greeks say Isis, in case you didn't or you don't know. Look, I speak about those who rose from the east. So when I step to any mic to speak, it's got to be deep like the depths of that tsunami. For one moment, please listen and follow, which brings me to another topic. Let me ask you, is it possible that tsunami, they blame it on Mother Nature? It was an underground rock, atomic bomb, test your mind check. Boom, that's how the matrix of the Illuminati's flex. I come to learn there's only 500 powerful men in the world. I got 5 on it now. Place your bet and rise and come and witness the peace. See, if you get up early enough in the morning, you sit, you wait, you watch the sun should rise and come where from the east. Is that not prophecy? See, I makes no claims to being a prophet, but I got this one down to a T. See, I dotted my I's. Take your time slowly before you think and blink, because see, by the time the ink dries to the paper, which equals flow, now you know I'm sitting with memories, reciting lines, sipping on hot cocoa and eating toast. From my seat, I'm gonna rise. My favorite hero is El Haj Malik El Shabazz. Y'all ready to rise? Rise, thank you. Thank you. You okay? Y'all okay?
Yeah, we're good.
We good?
Yeah, we're good. I'm happy.
I must have bawled my eyes out, on my knees curled up, what seemed to me in the form of a fetus, praying to the Almighty God, I'm in round for forgiveness. Oh, did I call out his name loud? Loud enough to myself so I didn't wake up my family. Damn shame that I haven't any shame in my game to let you in on my secret. Watch this though. Many of the same souls have the same secret, but I'm the only knucklehead that couldn't keep it to myself. Today I cried out to the Most High to make me a better man, a better father, a better servant, a better brother to my brothers and sisters of the earth. Today I cried out so hard till my soul could release all the pain, all the hurt. I must have cried so much that I couldn't retain and refrain. My clear teardrops that wouldn't stop past ills and dirts. So many tears I shed, tissues were no longer my friend. That's when I had to grab an old blanket to wipe away my tears. I got so lonely. I became so afraid. But I had to pray to the Most High God.
You have like 3 or 4 minutes, or
3 or 4 minutes?
4 minutes.
4 minutes?
Just so you know.
Just let me know.
So you don't want to. You do what you need. You're good.
Let's try this. We're gonna try this.
That's good. Whatever you like.
Short.
Yes. Go ahead.
A sister once told me if the male sperm sits too long into the testicles, it could cause prostate cancer. And it's important for men to have multiple ejaculations or even masturbate often to release the sperm. Well, his brother told me that he agreed and that he chokes his chicken often or visit Mrs. Palmer and her 5 children pretty good. As much as possible. He admits that he didn't have prostate cancer, however, he did contract arthritis in the elbow, the forearm, and the fingers. Now, ain't that about a bitch?
Do one more. You do another one, come on. That was.
Okay, oh boy, sorry ladies and gentlemen.
You're only human.
Yes, we are, that is true, that is true.
Yeah, you know.
Oh gosh, I haven't seen this one, wow.
All right.
You are worthy, courageous, and without any doubts, in my mind, strong. You know that I know raising a child by yourself is completely wrong, but black single mothers have been raising generation after generations of our children for far too long, and you I commend, because bringing up young black souls on these hardcore, cold-ass streets can be held on your hands. Working 9 to 5, make dinner, then you come back home and grind. From 7 to 11 days in and days out, you barely have time to unwind, but black single mothers, I am on your side. And I hope this message reaches my fellow black brothers. That's right, I'm trying to reach their mind and keeping it real to my young black soldiers that's more concerned with 20-inch wheels. Pick up a book from Niggas to Gods by the African brother Akil in the hope of finding a common solution for our future. And once we found that equation, our togetherness will run a little bit smoother. Our communities are filled with too many single household mothers. Too many prisons, plantations have stolen our fathers, and therefore that's one of the reasons why we still have prisons. We need more fathers with our mothers. Thank you.
Thank you.
The book is available. The CD is a combination of jazz and soul, neo-soul music, a little bit of meditative sounds. The CD is $10. The book is $20. Thank you, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
see him about the books and the CD. We're going to take a quick break. Canara San Carlos, give him another round. That's great.
Thank
Really
you,
great. Just love it. Perfect. This will still be on and running, but I'm going to turn it to face the wall of famed poets, so that way you don't have to worry about being incommoded. And then we're going to come back in about 6-7 minutes after an appropriate break. Appropriate break. There we go. Nice. All right. I'll get rid of this. It's been bothering me all night long.
Dan, you seem to be really enjoying yourself, especially. You know.
She said, I seem to be really enjoying myself.
I actually received an email.
Come on, derangement.
No, yeah, I actually have the email. I can probably show it to you right now.
Oh, so how was your day?
It was pretty slow.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's nice. It's slow. I was kind of tired most of the day, so
Yeah.
just didn't do well. Hi, Garrett. I need a pen so Garrett can sign in. Did you sign Garrett in? Did you
Oh,
sign
no, I
Garrett?
didn't. I'll put him in right now.
Yeah, you want me to?
I didn't see him. I was distracted, so I didn't see him. But we got you. Sorry about that. I'm gonna send him a little thing about that thing about the public. Ooh, wait a minute. Can you give that to Garrett? That'll give it.
That's me. No.
Martin got it. That one.
Thank you for showing.
Oh, yeah. Okay, no. Yeah, well, Martin has
Once or twice, a few years back, I had a feature. I think this is the second or third time he's speaking. So he's featured here. Yeah. Well, years ago. Before the fact. It's been a while. I think it's been like 4 or 5 years. I have to go back and look. And
what's this?
well, that's something I'm trying to set up. I call it. Take it. Go to the page. You'll see what I'm talking about.
There's so much paperwork involved.
Wait a minute, we haven't had a meeting. Let's have a meeting. Oh, no, we haven't had a meeting.
Well, you give good meetings. It starts Woody Allen.
I know. So that's good. What's your always Did you sign it? Oh, it's good. So it has to be yelling, screaming, hollering. Sharon's got a kid. Sorry. I didn't hear that.
I don't know if I know. Like, I walked into it, and we're like, that was like, like I that camp on that street that had a radio, like right up like this. I just thought this all. I forgot mine. I was like, you know, like.
Yeah.
So I went across the street and I was like, and he goes, oh my God. And I like asked the right person and I looked and I was like, boss is exactly the brand I bought. You will never know because like it's the label on it. I said, I've never. Anyway, it was crazy. And I almost didn't come out. That is what yeah, his name is David Oliver. He's a Boston Terrier.
Yeah.
I love my dog. He's really I had a pretty like boy. That's boy. It's great for grades. It's great. And I was like, literally, like, getting my
It's okay.
And my daughter's there. I need to What is it?
Well, we're going to get started in a moment. You're forcing me to sing a song here. This is one of my favorite Christmas songs. It's a tune the tune is famous, but the words were written by someone else, and they completely twisted it up. So this has to do with derangement. You'll go. Let's see how it goes. Do 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 do. Listen. Lazy things, my wife is missing. I didn't ask permission to try on her clothes, her silk pantyhose, and waltz around in women's underwear. There's a, let's see, in the store. In the office, there's a guy named Melvin. He pretends that I am Murphy Brown. He'll say, let's get ready. I'll say, whoa, man. Just wait until the wife, she's not in town. Later on, if you wanna, we can dress like Madonna. Put on some eye shade and join the parade. Waltzing around in women's underwear. Yes, waltzing around in women's underwear. I love that version, don't you? Isn't that a great version? Okay, so now, unfortunately, I have to stop. Or fortunately, actually, I have to stop because, we have to get all the poetry on here. Aren't you the second wind guy or something at the beginning of the second show? Mr. Richard Sandero, ladies and gentlemen, give him a roaring round of applause.
I'm winging it tonight.
Winging?
Nobody's with me.
I'm listening.
We're listening. I'll read 3 new ones. Shooter. Another shooting every couple of weeks becomes every weekday. It's a vet again. Gee, I wonder why. I don't pretend to know this veteran's mind, what drove him to this. Could be one of many issues. There's something wrong here, Usa. Do you notice? Feel it? Do you care? What do you tell vets when they are sent to kill men, women, and children, elders based on lies, ego, profit, empire? You don't, so you thank us for our service instead. There are vets who accept this statement. I do not. You don't have a clue what you're thanking me for. You're nothing but a chant responder, typical of citizens of USA who don't want to think too much or too deeply. We're so used to these murders, it's become average news. Normal. 3 murdered, shooter shoots himself. 10 gunned down in downtown office building, killer killed by police. High school shooter kills 12, caught, no reason or motive known. Black teen killed because shooter thought the young black man was a threat. Native women, men found dead, murdered, that's right. There are no headlines not covered by USA's press. And on and on and on. Human psyche damaged. Too much fear, anxiety over housing, food, clothing, jobs, each other. I want mine and I want it now allows us to ignore. We discuss actors' roles as if Hollywood movies are real or have anything to say. We love our animals because we can't deal with each other, so animals are left to deal with our neurosis, craziness. Wolves, coyote, look at in horror what dog has become. Yes, USA, you have many more shooters coming down the line. Most don't notice. Just don't be in the wrong place at the wrong time and you'll be all right. If killed, USA's citizens will soon forget you. This is for the Ohlone people. It's called Hello, Is Anyone There? Hello, we are the Ohlone people. Is anyone listening? USA buries building over our ancestors, covering them with paints, businesses for profit. Keep moving, nothing to see here. You thank everyone except the people whose land you live on. Family, jobs, health, house. News reporters, Thanksgiving is over, now we can move on. In USA, there's only one day for Thanksgiving, something Native people find strange, when every day is a day of Thanksgiving. The day is more appropriately called thanks-taking, thanks-stealing. Never a word of acknowledgement for the Ohlone people whose land and graves are covered over by cities, San Francisco, Oakland, Emeryville. City of Emeryville, city of commerce, has no place for the Ohlone people and supporters, reluctantly lets the protest that Ohlone way with fake shell mount, but never lets them out of this prison so they won't bother inconvenient shoppers. It's up to us who know their struggle, live on their lands, never forget with clarion voices their struggle to all that hear. Once heard, it's now up to them whether they will join the Ohlone struggles. Listen to the Ohlone, to what they say, what they want. Show your humanity. You do remember what it is to be human.
Yeah.
And this is an older one I wrote many years ago, but then I've read it a few times, called Forked Tongues Spoken in Broken English. Speak with forked tongues and in broken English, a language of empire, viral, bacterial. A language of hope that gives none where audacity stands frozen, frightened. Speak to us with forked tongues and in broken English so everyone understands with whom we are speaking. The empire is where leaders lead, but the people find themselves leaderless and confused by their broken language. In our empire, all our presidents' names are George. Remember to speak to us with forked tongues and in broken English so truths can remain hidden and we fight and argue for viewpoints that are viewless and pointless. Speak to us with forked tongues and in broken English so that what was done to the Aboriginal people will continue to be done to us, the children of empire. Speak to us with your forked tongues and in broken English so Orwell's doublespeak reigns and shines. Speak to us and we will just speak to us straight and we will just assume you are lying.
Thank you, Richard. Yeah. And now Antoinette Green coming out, give her a round of applause for the co-host of this evening who is making my sanity holding the fort, as it were, while I get distracted by the interior images.
I've recently taken to heart the theme of the evening, which has been a lot of fun. So I'm going to read two. One was like, I think last week's theme, and one was this week's theme.
Good.
Okay, so kettle water boils on kitchen burners. This is steamy windows, by the way.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so kettle water boils on kitchen burners, too long to dim sadness of marigold's faltering hues. Now wilted while obscured windows only look inward, steamed in afterthoughts of crusty men who find solace in black tea, thinking of love forever forgotten. Add milk and honey, sweetness like a kiss finds fortune in fall fragrances, pumpkin spice here to stay. Forlorn party girls, sure never-ending figurines of themselves, march home in cold, dark places that were missed yesterday when sunshine was abundant. Thank you so much. This is this week's, which is, we'll get to it. Counted on. We are big, open nodules, together growing too heavy for this planet. Green, blue, swirling osmosis. Baby swelters in dungeon, held captive, cold heart, dank, dark, wet chamber, beating underground after each pinnacle of success, praise to false gods. Golden sunrise, pink sunset, white moonlight, stand through storm, counted on, abacus drama. We know, we care, love, live, flipped middle finger between anger and peace to cold air at midnight. You are not the only one. Tremble with delight, sensual touch, always ends back home on Deranged.
Okay, Sharon, the storyteller, Scott, Kish, and Nikki, you're next. So if you want to come up to get on the chair, that would be great. And then we have Britt, Jane, Rob, Alan, Morgan Freeman, and Nanette Fabre before Hal, Sam, Ben, and Supergirl. Then we have Garrett and the Sandberg closing. I threw extra names in there just in case you want to know. You want me to lower that for you? Yeah, good. All right. There we go.
Okay. Kiss me once. This is from Dorothy Dandridge. What makes you really happy is when you love and give and understand. When you look at beauty and really see it. We are so busy watching the road under your feet, we forget to look up at the beauty all around us. And this is from Jimmy, James Baldwin. Know whence you came. If you know whence you came, there is really no limit to where you can go.
All right.
This was called Train Rides. Sharon K. loved trains. Great fun. In the 40s, you got to know all of the porters and waiters. It was going to give you a living. For many men, tips, travel, and many of the men were well educated. Just no jobs for them. They had great stories, lives outside their cities, and the lives of gambling, food, partying, girlfriends, second families. Many women had boarding houses that catered to these men, big old houses. It was a living. These men had an extensive knowledge of the cities they visited. They knew all the gambling houses, white and black, juke joints, whorehouses, white and black, bookies, restaurants, top-notch and greasy spoons. If you were lucky enough to have a member of your family or a friend that ran on the road, lots of treats and toys from all over, comic books and quarters. They usually had a long run, stayed often in the city, then one night and then on to the next. No ties, free as a bird, and I mean free. Nobody to tie them down. They knew all the frequent riders by name. They knew their relatives. They knew which houses they lived in. They knew that they were going to get you on there and get you off safely. They took good care of the passengers. The cooks were the best, prepared great meals in the smallest kitchens you've ever seen. Had several nightclubs in many cities, porters and waiters clubs, good entertainment, no buckets of blood, decent clubs, clientele good, good-looking women hanging around sharply dressed couples. Great places for a night out. These men looked forward to checking into hotels or rooming houses, bathing, shaving, dressing up, and hitting the streets, hitting it out on the town. Waking up and looking at for what was laying ahead. Some had standing dates waiting for them, no strings attached. Women that dated these men knew the backstory, and it worked for most of them. You could get your rent paid, new clothes, groceries, pretty good deal. Some married them, or at least the neighbors thought they did. Some had families with them, not uncommon for a man to have two families, one on each coast, or at least one far enough apart. Some women knew of the families, some not. Sometimes both women knew each other. They knew they existed, but usually one woman was in the dark. Children, elderly families were really taken care of. You could put some belief in these men. You could talk to them. They knew the world. They gave you the royal treatment. Put a child on the train alone, they would get there safe. They would wait if the family wasn't there. No problem. Dining cars, they would bring the kids Shirley Temples. Wake you up at night, give you chocolate cake. Keep track of you. Play cards with you. Teach you games. Loved you, and you loved them. Late at night, take you up to the new sky coach. You could see the stars. It was every child's dream, and it's all in our imaginations. Jackets always pressed. Sharon got to know many of these men from the neighborhood, friends, relatives, and since her mother and stepfather had moved to Denver, an overnight trip from Kansas City to Denver, these men were her guardians, standing at the age of 7. Wake her up late at night with a treat from the kitchen. Yum, pie, cake, a nickel Coke. No chicken in the shoebox for her. They always greeted Eva in Kansas City with the precious cargo, Sharon K., and delivered her to be in Denver at 7 a.m. Never a problem, always a delight to them to shoulder her and to show her things new. Take her to the caboose, take her to the engine. They covered it, they waited for her, and there she was on the Superdome. A few steps on top, and she could see for miles and miles. At night, the moon and the stars. They kept the berths clean, fresh linen, and the cars clean as the board of heaven. So, here they are, and they're pretending that they're just porters. A lot of these men had college educations, but there were no jobs for them. So they took their roots as they would take to a white-collar job. Sharon K., almost 3 feet tall, got a new doll for Christmas. This doll walks. Well, I tell you, she and Clifford almost walked to Denver with that doll one night. They had the best time. I'm sure Clifford was very tired at the end of the trip. So there is Clifford, and the railroads stop. They stop running. They stop running to these towns. And there are women with children, families, and they don't get to see them anymore. Some children hated their fathers, some children looked them up later on. A lot of times it was only at funerals. But that was the life they had to live, and that was what they had chose to do. Well, time to stop, time to get new jobs. There's a courtesy that country clubs have. If you belong to one in one town, you can play golf in another. A friend of mine goes to LA, and he says, the nicest men were working at the country club. Grab your shoes, your clubs, clean them, address you by your correct name. A fabulous man. He said, how old are these guys? And he told me. I said, those are retired porters. He said, yeah, I'm down there in LA. And this guy says, how are you, Mr. President? Your clubs are ready and your salad's on the table. Oh, thank you, Hank. Okay. Yes, President Reagan. He said, that man needs to get that hearing aid fixed. He's been calling me that wrong name for at least 20 years. Okay, he's a little out of touch. Fast forward, Ron Dellum says, when he's in Sacramento, our boy Ronald Reagan says, I love your father. I really respect him. And Dellum says to me, I don't know how many goddamn times I had to tell him that that's my uncle that worked with A. Philip Randolph, not my dad.
Nikki's coming up now.
How do I even follow that? Oh my God, that was like too that was incredible. That was incredible. Sharon, seriously, which happens to be, we bonded actually tonight, and Sharon happens to be my mom's name. And she happens to be a Leo also, and she has long, beautiful hair, like you. So, seriously, this has been quite a night. I almost did not come out tonight, although it's important for a lesbian to always come out. Yeah, it really is. But I was just like, I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling well. I was with my dog. I was doing laundry. I just kind of felt like I just need to like just be at home and just be with my digestive issues. I have digestive issues, you know. And I was like, nobody needs to like be with my wine, like my whiny self and my baggy eyes and my digestive issues. And the thing about it is, I am so over these digestive issues. The thing that happens, which thank God it's an older crowd, I'm just gonna go ahead and acknowledge that, is that yeah, no, this is like a godsend, you know, is that you get older and you have digestive issues to begin with, and then you get older, and then he's so young. I love you. I'm gonna pick on you. No, I'm not gonna love you. And then they just get worse and worse and worse and worse, and before you know it, you're just like, what the hell happened? I just had some lentil soup. I feel so bloated. Oh God, I'm sweating. Everything is hard. I'm not gonna go out tomorrow. I'm not. I'm too hot. I'm too hot. Everything is hard, and I'm sweating a lot right now because I had lentils and I had a lot of sodium, and it's not good. I don't feel sexy at all. I feel really bloated. How the hell is that supposed to help your self-esteem? Like, I don't even understand. Like, digestive issues, you have no idea, and you do have idea. Like, it is draining me. I am so over this. I'm just like, you know, I thought I'm good. I mean, I work out like at this point because I do not have a job. I work out 7 days a week. You know, I work out like every day. You know, and I've worked out for a long time. And like, I haven't actually, you know, like seen if my shoes are tied in a really fucking long time because, you know, I get buffed. I buffed right now. Yeah, fucking 40-pound dumbbells right here, pal. Yeah, that's right. When you and I saw each other on the corner, you had no idea I could fucking lift 40-pound dumbbells incline. You had no idea. You were just like, you're such a beautiful spirit, which I am, but I'm also strong. I'm strong everywhere. Except in my digestive issue. So, my question is, how does a really strong, like, coming of age, beautiful soul of a woman, Nikki Addis, step over to the other side and not like let those digestive issues get in the way of like connecting? Like tonight I was connecting with Sharon quite a bit, you know, and I was like, and I'm talking to her and the whole time I'm like, she has no idea about my digestive issues and she doesn't even judge me right now. She has no idea. And I'm wondering if I actually opened up and shared with Sharon Sharing is caring. I'm just saying, I know sharing, caring, share on. I am inspired tonight. Because I don't do poetry, but tonight I do. And apparently I sing. So all I'm saying, it was amazing. Did you feel that? That was like, I don't even know who I am right now. So then I'm wondering, how do you step on to the other side of acceptance, full, like, human being acceptance? And this is, it's okay, I know I only have a minute, and so does spaghetti until you boil it. You know what I mean? Okay, so what I'm thinking is this. If you're on this planet and you're a human being and you are trying to actually, like, step into the enlightened spirit and the non-judgmental self-acceptance. Let's forget what we put and project onto other people. What I want to talk about is, like, it starts within. We all know this. We started traveling when we were young. They said, hey, put the mask on yourself before someone else. So let's go ahead and talk about put the mask on ourselves. I am working my ass off, literally, with digestive issues. You work your ass off. Even though, as my friend Rob has pointed out, it's the large intestine that does all the work, which is true. So I am working on tonight, let's stop the judgment on self, get out into the world. He's getting dressed, and I just love this man. And I want to give a special shout out to you, like, because that's who I am. Like, you were absolutely amazing. You touched my heart. You made me shake. You made me cry. You made me stand up and watch you. Because you are what matters, and we need more of that in the world. And I want you to know something, that it radiates with me and it resonates with me. And I'm Nikki Addis, and I approve this message, and thank you, like, for this entire night. And I'll work on self-love, and I'll work on the rest of the you know, stuff I was talking about earlier, which it does matter, it all matters. But I'm really glad I came out tonight, because I almost stayed home with Oliver. He's a great dog. Like, he's a great dog. But thank you. I'm Nikki Addis.
Good Peter, then Jane, and Rob, then Alan, and Hal, and Sam, then Ben. We got Supergirl and George Strait. There we go. Let me frame you in there, buddy. There we go. All right.
6 a.m. morning chant. Stars again, the sky scoured by ash and rain, and the dipper stands straight up like the pecker used to do. The large moon paints smears and seas loud in the west. Emeryville's shell mound. The old Ohlone man says, count every second of your life. That would be more than a few. Then he gently pats the concrete pavement where thousands of his ancestors still dwell.
Oh!
I'm still locked into last week's theme.
It's all
Native
right.
American welder, 1960s, yard 3. The old welder, the young stage rigger, Chief Lewis and I would talk before work. No frilly pronouncements, just quiet appraisals of the day, conjecture over the length of the current gig, plain talk, no BS. How long have you been in the Bay Area? I grew up here. And you? 7,000 years. He didn't say that. And then I'd throw a ladder against the hull of an old T2 tanker, and the chief would climb up, strike an arc, and fix pad eyes for us to string a small staging from. Cold mornings, enmeshed in a democracy of grime. I wrote this poem before I knew of the work that young Maidu are doing in Plumas County to relearn their own language. Indian Valley years. My dad told me of a pocket valley below the ledges of near mountains, taking stock to high grazing with his dad, hearing familiar sounds riding up from the home ranch, up to Kettle Rock, their camp, 1920. This older man fought back tears as he told his stories, as a sweet sickness touched him yet again, the traveling sound and the echoes. Now in these later years, no more first-hand stories, everything carried through summations, snapshots, and this, a notice for the Round Valley powwow, 3,000 years of culture tucked away, before Peter Lassen, before Joe Taylor's grindstone, ancient and continuing playgrounds, soft rhythmic pounding against the known ground to hear time, rushing water and feathered calls, and still to hear the voice of the Maidu. The North Arm, 1908. Placer tailings near the road, ranch houses on the bank, hillsides above flooding, the slanting slabs of lumber of other lodgings in the North Arm, the sharp edges of the mountain shell, the unity of sky and earth, the smell of sage burning, continual habitation in this corner place beyond our knowledge of time. And if I've got a little clip, I've got a Trump poem. Yeah. This is an update of one started earlier. Trump legacy, lunacy. The old man rakes it in, fond of Diet Cola and Goff. It turns out that the whole family are crooks. More evidence each day. Kushner and daughter Ivanka, the fabric of the future. The washing machines in all his palaces cleaning money, while a fleet of drones keep us safe. And ICE agents are seen kicking over water containers near our protected borders. Now this update. Help from the standing army, buying the barbed wire, not dinners for the caravan, or processing paper and staff at points of entry. 12, 26, 18. Tear gas for fleeing mothers and their diapered babies. ICE. Why not call them our Gestapo? There's more than a little sadism in their zeal and delight. While the Donald, frayed mind, vacation in Florida, rallies in Clanland, chooses what he will listen to. Daddy told me to be a killer, and I comply.
Hold on just a second. You know, I am remiss in something. I should have introduced him as the mini feature for the evening, which you are.
Right,
So
that's why I took so much time.
Well, you can do another one if you want. You can do
one more?
Yeah, do one
Okay,
more
I'm
because
sure.
you really you had more time than that. Just.
Oh, yes, take it.
Take it.
All right.
Yeah. Again, I apologize. I'm
Okay,
foolish.
this is an old favorite of mine, the poet Jack Spicer. Levi and Jack Spicer. Everyone knew everyone. It was like that among poets and ghosts. Levi and Jack Spicer listening to the silent Joe Albany, noisy evenings in the place. Arguments between shots, after hours pool at Mike's place. They had a difficult friendship. Spicer not quite sure if the moon was a word, an artifact, or a real rock hanging in an invented sky. Levi wondered at his friend's rigor and belligerence, seeming always to want to fight over linguistics and reality. The moon for him was an irrefutable constant. He basked under its variable forms, became quiet under its yellow glare, did Levi. He was wary of his friend's behavior. One night they were tossed out of Gino and Carlos, a jack rant. Sawdust floors, no rice wine, no bulldog stout. Their dialogue continued in the street. The moon is not a street lamp. Which one of them said that? Rational wind and quietude contending just before Levi and Jack Spicer were swallowed up by the Broadway tunnel and car noise, ghost shadows unexplained.
Peter, our mini of the evening. That's one of the door prizes which I failed to introduce at the end, at the beginning of things. Jane Radis, give her a nice one. We got Rob and Alan and Hal.
Two poems I haven't read in a while. First two are family related. My mother. We had another scare with my mother this week. So I called Saturday morning and she was baking a lemon pie. She said I bought 5 lemons and it was too many. 5 lemons, 5 children. Is she speaking in poetic terms or is she just talking about groceries? True story. This other one is about my brother. My brother Stephen, who died of AIDS in 1992 before we got all the drugs. In the hereafter, everybody came in from dead so black you could never see it. In death, everybody came in from white so light you could never see it. In the hereafter, everything is so blue, a bright, clear aquamarine, so clear you can drink out of it. In the hereafter, every day is sunny, so yellow you can drink it in. Get some perspective. Death so close, and clouds so full of rain they could burst. So far away, and a sky so gray, it doesn't matter. Remember the good things. And this last one. Shooting stars. The stars are out, and they might leave without us. The moon might leave without us on the earth, dallying and slow. The stars might leave without us and go to another solar system. They're tired of us ruining their atmosphere. They might leave without us, leave us in a dark stage on shadowy earth. We had taken them for granted, and they just took off. Thanks.
Aren't you soon to be a feature in January, right?
January.
In January. She'll be back in January as a feature. Probably. And Rob is already on it, and then Alan is next. Is Alan still here? I didn't see him. Okay, I didn't see where you were. I got you know how I get alarmed. That's okay. Did we give him a round of applause? Did we do that?
Three poems. Home on Deranged.
Thank you.
I've looked into insanity's eyes. Insanity wants to fuck. Insanity is a collapsing prison with inmates running amok. Insanity destroys what it loves and hates what it destroys. Insanity cannibalizes itself. We are insanity's toys. Insanity is ever elusive. I can't be any clearer. But why aren't you afraid to look into the mirror? Sex-starved. Why are you talking to me? You're not someone I want to fuck. I don't see you. What? You're intelligent, solicitous, provocative, non-duplicitous? I told you, you're not someone I want to fuck. I don't see you. I'm sorry. I'm sure you're swell. But minus fuckability, y'all can go to hell. Am I truly this raw? Am I really this crass? I don't know. Turn around. Show me a little ass. You're too religious? You're too young? You're too pregnant? Too spoken for? My dick doesn't think so. A cock is knocking at your door. But wait, come see a sweet and platonic spree. I'm not so shallow as I used to be.
I'm caring less and less about fitness, age, and beauty. As a grown-up human, I feel it is my duty. I'm caring less and less about smarts and savoir-faire. All women need love. I haven't done my share. Yes, indeedy. Just look at my maturity. Don't tell me my desperation is getting the best of me. You I see, you I don't. Screams what's left of my wasted brain. For deprivation, deprivation, deprivation done driven me, driven me, driven me insane. And finally, caps. Why do the madcaps get all the notoriety? It doesn't feel fair to our myriad millinery. Maybe you're a glad cap, ever ready with a smile, happy to give a hand, uncomplaining all the while. Maybe you're a bad cap, dangerous and charming. Does anyone else here find charming folk alarming? Maybe you're a rad cap, never doing what you're told, unpredictable, unrestrictable, reckless, and bold. Maybe you're a sad cap. Have you been diagnosed? Though I find happy people more peculiar than most. Maybe you're a fad cap following along. Let's get tattooed or pierced while we sing a top 40 song. Maybe you're a had cap, living in poverty, more and more each day in this sea of inhumanity. Of course, if you're a madcap, there's no shame in that. In fact, in this nutty world, being mad is where it's at. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. And now, like I like to say, if you've never heard Alan Harris, you're going to hear Alan Harris. Hear Alan Harris. A welcome round, please. Man is mad. We love it. And we got Hal and Sam, Ben, Supergirl, Garrett, and Sam Durrell.
Oh,
Jesus. And a hamburger.
Get.
Okay.
Hi. Hi.
I got the one fork, the one spoon, the one knife, the one bowl, the one dish, the one glass, the one mug, the one pot, the one pan, the one chair, the one table, the one room. That's all I need, just one of everything. If everyone could be satisfied with just one of everything, there wouldn't be the tragically ridiculous imbalance of some people living in mansions with 1,500 rooms, some of which are never even occupied, while other people don't even have one room to live in. Is that really the way it's supposed to be? Is that really the way that God or whoever planned it? If so, terrible plan, just awful. Start again. Worldwide minimalism, worldwide socialism, worldwide collectivism. Gather up all of the material goods in the world and then divide them up evenly. And give everyone an apartment that will provide them with just enough room to be comfortable. If you're somewhat obese, then you would get a bigger place than someone who is thinner. And if you lose weight, then you would be moved into a smaller place. And if your weight fluctuates too much, well, then that would suggest a bigger problem that you should probably get checked out. Maybe you have an eating disorder, in which case you would probably be sent off to some sort of camp where that problem would be dealt with. This is starting to sound a bit fascistic. Maybe we should forget about that part and talk instead about how you very, very wealthy people think that this is going to impact you negatively. Well, you have a right to think that. This is going to fuck you up big time. You're going to go from living it up in a 1,500 room mansion to simply existing in a bachelor apartment in a building that probably won't even have an elevator. But don't worry, while you'll be having to make do with a lot less, compensation will come in the form of the knowledge that there's a little girl somewhere who's going to go from living on the street without enough to eat to having a permanent roof over her head and a refrigerator stocked with healthy food. I mean, come on, how great will that be? Don't you think that that will make up for the loss of those 1,500 rooms? Won't you get a certain satisfaction out of that? Well, just give it a try. Look, this is gonna happen whether you want it to or not, so you might as well make the best of it. And don't give us any shit. You don't want to end up in one of those camps where they send troublemakers, do you? This is starting to sound a bit fascistic again. Damn, this is hard. Recently, I enrolled in a course at the Learning Annex on how to live in the present. Interestingly, it was taught by someone visiting us from the future, who explained that in the future, Pop-Tarts will be worth more than cash, rabbis will stop using the word kosher, replacing it with barf-proof, 70 will be the new puberty, and Congress will spend all of its time debating whether breathing should be a right or a privilege. It was then that I decided to give up on any attempt at self-improvement and try instead not only to live with my own faults, but also with the faults of others. The terminally immature, the adorably repulsive, the pathologically confused, the unpleasantly pleasant, the suspiciously upbeat, those who are warped by self-love, those who believe that irony is something that only happens to other people, those who keep crossing that fine line between optimism and delusion, those who give Christian names to their possessions, as in, have you met my refrigerator, Charles? Those who say stupid things like, God bless our troops, especially the snipers, and who are living proof that stupidity begins at conception. And even those whose capacity for rationalization is so immense that they end up living in a tent on the freeway. All of this has made me nostalgic for rebellion, so I've begun frequenting a bar whose patrons, my new best friends, are people on the low end of decent who are dependent on miracles to survive and whose only solution for a lack of health care is suicide. Your friends are your family in this town, they tell me, and that's okay with me. I'll take them over the neo-scumbags who run everything, anytime. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan Harris. I told you, if you haven't, you now have your experience. How relevant, give them around. You got Sam, Ben, Super Girl, San Francisco, and Eric Murphy, then the Sandro closing us out. So, let me frame you in there, Mr. Hal Robbins. And you're,
all right.
And you're Sam, right?
Oh, I'm Ben. I thought it was Sam.
Oh, no. We got, is Sam here?
Oh, I see.
Oh, okay, so Sam, Ben. We got it. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Give him a round, please. My confusion is my fault. Listening to me is your fault.
Yeah. I'm 68 years old today.
Happy birthday! You don't look a day over 67.
Well, that's a blessing. So last week the theme was Native American / Indian, and I didn't have a poem ready, but I finally finished it, and it strangely also satisfies tonight's theme. So quickly, let me give a few notes. How many are familiar with the new planets, the new planetary bodies discovered in our solar system in the past 20 years? You know of them? They no longer name them after Greeks and Romans. They name them after Native American gods. Yes, they do. And one of the farthest out of these bodies is called Sedna. It's quite far out. In fact, it would be the farthest out, except that the planet Biden, named after Joe Biden, intersects its orbit. But this is the story of Sedna, as I have written it. In haste that night, she left her father's house. Angered, Anguta called for her in vain. Now huddled in her lover's kayak, she traversed with him the starlit icy sea. His promises had so persuaded her, fine furs, and even in the coldest time abundant food, but now his silent back ignored her talk, refusal eloquent. Waiting, she warmed her hands, the sky grew light as they approached the jagged stony shore. No words of loving welcome did he speak. The wind blew fiercely on the naked rock, no living thing in view, and so she saw his home was desolate. And it was then he showed her his true self,
He spread his arms here in his homeland as they turned to wings. Revealed he was a fulmar, an Arctic bird like to the stormy petrel, and her tears, without affecting him, froze on her cheeks. Anguta, raging, sped across the sea. His kayak swiftly grew within her sight as she ran down the frozen shore to him. She climbed into the skin boat, brooding. Now her father rowed. She looked back then, her man to see among a cloud of seabirds, now in human form, set out to overtake her and Anguta. Soon when they drew close, her husband hailed her, begged her to return. When she refused, he stood and spread his arms, now feathered. But before he could take flight, her father cast his spear into his heart. The wind roared, echoing his dying cry. The waves showed their white teeth. Above them came the shrieking fulmars. Then Anguta, grim to lighten ship, tossed her into the sea. She called Anguta's name, and with her hands, to save herself, reached for the kayak's sides, but he cut off her fingers with his knife of bone. Her severed fingers in the sea became whales, seals, and walruses. Her fingernails, their teeth and tusks, the narwhal's horn, took form created from her blood. She sank into the ice-bound ocean and became bodied sea creature with a woman's face. No mere mermaid or sailor's fantasy, but angry goddess. Those who honor her she grants good hunting and good weather, but brews up storms for all her enemies. Pervaded by the mystery of the sea, in some tales wolf or dog engendered with her the various peoples of the earth. But she, in her fertility, created worlds of creatures from her body and her blood. A primal fountain of new life and forms, she broods between the place of warmth and life and all the frozen deeps of distant stars.
Wow.
So Dr. Hal.
And now we have Sam, who is new. Who is new. Is that Sam up there? Hey, that's Sam! Wait a minute, that's Sam! Welcome, by the way.
Thank you. She shook as I lay beside her. The blanket quivers as I try to think of the words which may cross this gap. Nothing comes within my mind. It's funny because nothing came last night as well. I know this pain, it lives deep within me. I know this distance, it is familiar, not quite a foe, not quite a friend. The explanations never quite reaching. Me feeling small and small and small. I open my eyes and I turn my body. Frost hits my fingertips. I steal my words and I try. But as the first adventurers to the high peaks, I die right before I reach the top. I step out from the bed, fully clad, knowing that if it was to occur the night before, these clothes would be acting as trophies, victories strewn across the room. And I walk, a lonely walk, outside the door. I hadn't really prepared that beforehand, but I just felt some inspiration. This is about my mom. My mother sits in a bathroom. She flutters her eyes like a moth stuck in a droplet of water. She shifts and then slips like a baby wobbling to be upright, catching herself, not quite. My person I feel no connection with, but have been sharing a house with for years, and he pays for all my worldly needs. Stepfather slaps her lightly, forcibly on her cheeks. The strength held back so as not to break him, break her, I don't know. Only a shook bottle. She, no woman. He, no man. Only a shook bottle. Okay. Faces lost entirely, easily, and tirelessly. Gone for all the time, for a breath, a beat, a millisecond between thoughts. Light shone, breaking open the soul of deception we've been allowed to believe, to erase our whole building of self, eradicate the sense of security. Rinse, repeat. The feeling of security, of habit, of normalcy, oversoons the identity which was brewing to break free. Walking forward, allowing senses to dull, to stub a toe. Knowing this whole truth will be the start of nothing new, no new realities, no new truths. It is the life of yesterdays we live, and the hope of childless, hopeless tomorrows. In the faces we see for a second passing by in the reflections of trains, I see a new future. A future known intimately, known fully, known heartfully, and I step aside.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And now another new person, Ben Zerline, right? Did I say that? Zerline? See, I got it wrong. Zerline. Oh, that's right, the German. Is that Ben up there? Ben Z, we used to call him.
Yeah, that was easy. All right, so I didn't quite know the theme, but luckily everything I write is a little bit deranged, so...
Oh, well, there you go then.
Yeah, this should work.
Not to worry.
I've got two poems for you. The first one has two parts. It's called Changelings, New Orleans, October. The cold front rises like stadium applause as it bends the live oak branches, rustling the curlicue drapery of their Spanish moss. And you tell me you think the wind is the voice of the trees. A spider honks to get our attention. At least this is how it seems when a van behind us blasts its horn and a driver shouts in our direction to join him. We turn to see what he's offering. We four were willing to risk adventure, but we realized he'd been shouting to the street posse beyond us, that no ride is on offer to us as strangers. But backtracking, we spot the spider, suspended in a street lamp beam, attempting to float a tendril of silk across 4 lanes of traffic and the neutral ground. A stranger comes to watch us with appreciation. The stranger comes to stand with us in appreciation. Before she leaves, she looks straight into my eyes and says, "It's like the city comes even more alive at night." So sincerely, I can respond no way, except to accept her gaze. 2. All week, people tell me spooky shit. We stop to gawk at the horror show of bloodied Barbies dangling naked above a stranger's porch.
A woman in black scoffs as she passes. You think that's creepy? But seeing me, she changes tacks and somehow intuits my favorite writer asking, "How do you know Robert Anton Wilson?" People tell me spooky shit. A woman with an LED hula hoop peels me away from my group to guard her gray alien-shaped bag and watch her body roll within her ring of purple light. Vaguely, I am aware she knows one of my friends. Between songs, she says, "Oh, it's no coincidence we met." And I'm briefly afraid she'd been the distraction for a Confederate to pick my pocket. How do you know R.A.W.? On the sidewalk, a man drops to his knees and begins buffing my shoes, trying to demand a tip. We wave him away for lack of cash, and he spouts facts about me, including, "That daddy that raised you weren't your daddy." He's right, but I'm not sure that's worth the last bill in my pocket. No coincidence we met. You tell me we find each other in every age. I'm drunk enough to believe you. Daddy that raised you weren't your daddy. Epiphany strikes and you take my face in your hands. When we last met, it was in a white room. Do you remember? Somehow I do. All right, this one's called Low Fidelity. Take refuge in clean living. Everything is going according to plan. The stars go waltzing out in blue and red, all watched over by machines of loving grace. Modern times, the way of all flesh, versus massive attack. Oh, dearism. It felt like a kiss, and you want to travel with her. Century of the self, and you want to travel blind. Bitter lake. The transformation of the world into music. Herdsmen of the sun. Lessons of darkness, bells from the deep. 40 minutes, the kingdom of fun. Oh, dearism. 2. Burning off impurities, lo and behold, fee, fi, fo, fum, into the inferno, into the abyss, into the woods, to grandmother's house, burden of hope, space prophet, no gone, black tar frequencies, back to the monastery, black tar prophecies, you can't catch me, I'm the doomsdayer's holiday, future primitive, I led 3 lives, almost grew my hair, deep politics, acid rain, deep snow crash, yes, and yes is God, snow crash, and a spray can of Ubik. Take refuge, clean living, more extinction, younger dryas, easy, easy. Blue, baby blue, all drowned in gray. I might have drowned her. Metaphysical transitions, sour, sweet, and the heat goes on where the hand had been. Under the water, carry the water, mushrooms and champagne. But we move water, on the wall. Who's the fairest? It's all over now, baby blue, 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 electric blue. Good broth cures all ills. Lay me place and bake me pie, I'm starving for me gravy. Before the old, a loving stone. Remember, be here now. Hear the metronome drip of the icicle. Carve Boltzmann's formula on my grave. If you are strong, appear weak. The cave of forgotten dreams. If you are weak, appear strong. All you need to see is so tall a tree that stars seem half as far as they are. Ladybirds prefer the newest beauty. High altitude, low opening. Time sauces the fish. All you touch and all you see. Endless novelty. Take refuge in clean living, everything is going according to plan. The stars go waltzing out in blue and red, I'll watch over my machines, loving grace, modern times, the way of all flesh versus massive attack. Oh, dear, I'm a fellow gay kiss, and you want to travel with her, and you want to travel blind, and you essentially to the self. The world is in the music, herdsmen of the sun, lessons of the darkness, bells from the beat, 40 minutes, the kingdom of fun. Oh, tears, I'm 2, burning up impurities, lo and behold, D5 from me into the inferno, into the abyss, into the woods, into the ground, into my mother's house. And you, light through the noise. Thanks.
Thank you. Anjuli, thank you. Newbie. And now, we're 3 for 3 right now. Supergirl of San Francisco. All right, come on up. Oh, that's right. There we go. She's new. She's new. Come on, let's go.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Supergirl of San Francisco, and I live in a tent in a forest, and I want to make you feel powerful. I'm a very poor person, and I have been for my whole entire life, but I have amazing powers and abilities just like all of you do. And we all have amnesia, and we have forgotten how to really live. We have forgotten to be our true selves. We have forgotten that we're all connected. We've been convinced by the establishment that has all this money and this illusion of power, that magic isn't real, that love isn't real, that stuff doesn't matter, that all that matters is the money and the control and not letting people be their real free selves. And I've had just about enough, and I know you've all had just about enough of us hurting one another over politics and having to listen to people within the government that pretend like they know the truth when they don't. I've had enough of President Lex Luthor and his nonsense. What he doesn't realize is we're all equally powerful entities of light and energy inside of a human shell. There's real power that comes up from up there. I've had a close encounter of the third kind, and I'm not ashamed to say it, that I'm one of these people who've experienced something fantastic and marvelous in the city of San Francisco, when it happened right south of the Golden Gate Bridge. And it was an entity of love, and it's very real. And it's not an illusion, it's not bipolar, even though I am bipolar. And yes, I take lithium and I take cannabis, and that probably, people look at that label and then they say, well, that makes you you, and then that just dismisses everything that you are because you consume this or you consume that. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Because my spirit is aware of the connection problem with my body. That's why I'm transgender. That's why I take hormones, to feel better about who I am collectively. Not because I'm trying to sin or because I'm trying to have sex 1,000 times every night, and this illusion that that people on the left are somehow demonic and filled with demons. I used to be a Republican. I used to be a conservative. And I've seen both sides, and I've seen the truth and the lies on both sides, unfortunately. I've seen that we don't tell the truth to our own selves here in San Francisco, and we remain divided, so very much divided. How do you expect to resist that much power if you don't become the real, true versions of yourself? And then together, instead of just, oh, look at this person over here, they don't have a suit, and they're not educated enough, and they have the wrong skin color, or maybe because my skin is too light, you can't see the real me. Because I'm mixed race. I have different nationalities running around I'm Hispanic, I'm Caucasian, I'm Native American, I'm in Sioux tribe, nation, and Kushada, and I have that running around. And plus, on top of that, just like all of you, in a different kind of a way, I am not of this earth. My spirit feels like it came from, the same place that Robin Williams came from, which is Mork from Ork, I'm the dork from Ork. Nanu, right? I miss Robin Williams so much, and he and his kind of personality, and people that think like that and realize that they were trying to remind you that you don't have to give up. You don't have to stop being yourself because of what the government says. That's wrong. Nobody gets to violate the Constitution of the United States on my watch, or anybody else's watch right here.
Yeah.
That's how much power you all have, and that's what I wanted to make you do, is feel powerful tonight, and God bless you.
Thank you. And now, Garrett Murphy is coming to speak to us. Give him a nice round, and we have Richard closing us out. Garrett Murphy, and then Richard Samuel, and these fabulous door prizes will be distributed as designed as they are with your mind in mind. Let me raise this up here. I think that'll be. Then focus this in.
Yeah, Brady.
Hello.
Basically a work in progress. It's called Here Come the Refugees from the Not So Great American Way. Deadlier than a Charlottesville supremacist. More dangerous than a shooter of synagogues. And more frightening than a bunch of rural cops. Who, after all, they implied was real folks, and you have, drum roll and all, the dreaded refugees of Central America, armed with little more than a shirt on their backs, polluting the air as they live to breathe it, shelter your wives and your children after yourself, for they have come here to defend our good land, while they flee the world that was made for them by the not so great American way, which drove them over here. There once was a time, so sad long ago, when being pale meant you needed more color.
Thank you, Mr. Sandero. We'll be closing us out this evening. And then we'll distribute these prizes. While he's coming up, this is
the title of this book is Oscar Wilde, but it's not a book by him, it is a book about him. And it's biographical, performance, writing, history, all the stuff. It's really huge, and this was actually found on the streets of the city, covered with.
Oh, now you're going to give it to us.
Yes. Well, someone would. This is a beautiful book. I cleaned this book like 7 ways. All right, give him a round of applause. Can you do that? I'm not going with the other door prizes and stuff like so forth and so on.
I know I'm in competition for La Promenade, but on Sunday night, if you're on this end of town and you don't want to go to that end of town, at Adobe Books at 3130 24th Street at 7 o'clock. That's this Saturday. Greer Rockette, Ricky Aguilar, and I will be doing an hour set.
Wow. So if you haven't seen the way they do things, it's great. It's really great.
Well, unfortunately, Louis Romero couldn't make it, and I understand he's a little ill, so I'm really concerned about him. He has lung issues like me, but Ricky Aguilar is a fantastic film player, so I'm really happy. Anyway, this is called Stop. Stop. Stop fucking with other nations, then blame them when the populace escapes their governments and USA's violence. Caught between bullets that fly through homes as children hide, shot, murdered, forced to take sides or die, flees our empire's damage, believing inside the beast is better than outside. USA comes to their country with manifest destiny in hand, stealing everything, privatizing, stealing it from the people, their wealth for USA, its citizens with money for consuming. Setting up coups against the people's chosen, brings on drug-dealing thugs, kicking, maiming anyone who opposes them, while we go shopping as we watch CS gas released on victims who were traumatized by a chemical weapon ban using it against another country, Mexico. We see a mother in pale as humans run in fear, that same fear that brought them here. Usans feel bad for a moment, move on. We forget our empire's murderous ways. Tell us a little bit, but not too much, which will never really help or create solidarity with the depossessed. He plunders. This is one I wrote a long time ago. I never read it here, so. He plunders. He plunders treasury for his own property, taxes, cuts for rich who play his kind of ball. Whores himself after empire, after Arab kings, princes. Beware, he may burn Washington to remake it in his own image. Statues of him as a god, not as a fat man, but as Nero Caligula. There were those who said when he became our resident rump, this would not stand. 2 years later, who's still standing? There are many who hate you, rump. There are more of them than your small hands can handle, brains to imagine. Goes to prove you don't have to be smart to make money. Just check the bright bulbs of government and elected officials, all them who take bribes. With his and these officials' small brains, they are still master manipulators. He is the great divider, deceiver, master of the forked tongue. They together create more human misery. Pretty soon he may try to deport native people, not knowing that they live in Indian country and are citizens of USA. I wonder when I look at your family, do they fear you, your cruelty? Have you ever placed love in their hearts? You never look happier when you're being brutish, callous, hurting humans. If we were to believe you, you have love for all of us. It's huge, just like him. Huge. And my short one is the House of Pedophiles. As you know, the Catholic Church just keeps going on and on about this shit.
A gift that
And
keeps
they
on
will
giving.
not Welcome to the House of Pedophiles, where rape of First Nation people began, then moved on to their own. You know, Black Robes, the one who brought you sin. Welcome to the House of Pedophiles, where altar boys, young women face what natives face, the rape of their beliefs, intelligence, hearts, mind, dignity. Welcome to the House of Pedophiles, where Black Robes prey upon isolated youth, vulnerable, alone in awe of priests. Welcome to the House of Pedophiles, where trust in Black Robes turns many to the dark side. Is that Lucifer I hear laughing?
That's on. There's the close Sympathy of the Welder. So now, because I failed to do this in the beginning, I'm going to introduce the door prize, which I should have done. This is a book about Oscar Wilde, not by him, but if you look carefully in here, you'll find a picture of him as Salome. Just so